Welcome to the Arkansas Cattle Business Podcast, brought to you by the Arkansas Cattlemen's Association. Here, we dive into the heart of Arkansas's cattle industry, where legislation, education, advocacy, and development come together to support the hardworking cattle producers of the natural state. Whether you're in the pasture or on the road, this is your connection to the people, policies, and programs shaping the future of our industry. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Arkansas Cattle Business Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Buffkin-Horton.
And I'm your co-host, Norley Townsend.
We are excited to be back with you this week. You may have noticed, if you are a avid listener, like my mother, of course. She texted me last week. She's like, where was the podcast? So you may have noticed we did not record a podcast last week. I think, and we'll take your feedback on this, but I think we may take this podcast to an every other week podcast while we are not in legislative session. And so giving us a little bit of time to organize interviews, organize topics, and bring y'all the best content while still keeping it timely. So if anybody is vehemently opposed to that, I guess let us know in the comments. But for now, for sure, we'll be filling y'all in probably every other week unless we hear otherwise. Mm-hmm. So if you missed us last week, you didn't actually, hopefully you missed us, but you didn't actually miss us. We did not record a podcast. So we obviously don't have a guest this week, so we are going to provide y'all a cattleman's update along with a little bit of a Hats on the Hill update from a federal standpoint. And so we're going to talk about convention, talk about memberships, and talk about some federal programs. So should be hopefully a pretty good episode. Really looking forward to it, and we are working on having a guest to interview for the next episode.
Yep.
So before we get started, I do want to shout out Randy's brand new hat.
Brand new. This week.
Yeah, I got delivered to the office this week. So thank you.
It's a Greenlee.
Yeah, I got a Greeley. It had a weird name of a color, and he was like, so it's just I was like, yeah, it's just a different way to say the same thing. That's okay. He's very excited about it.
And we were talking about the top of it, like it's like a cattleman, but like almost like a brick. It's like a wide cattleman. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah. But it looks good.
It came out of the box like that. Like he has not had it shaped yet.
Nope.
It literally showed up.
This is very rare for you. Like he gets a hat and goes and shapes it. So
yeah, he got the hat and immediately brought it in here to the podcast office and put it down. So you're welcome if you're watching online. You get to see it. Very exciting. Good for him. Like, God forbid a man has hobbies. Like,
yeah.
So we're just glad that he shares his love of hats with us.
He texted me this weekend and was like, he sent me 2 pictures of them, and I'm like, yeah, I like number 1 best. He said, okay, I have a guy holding it for us. I'm like, good night.
Oh, yeah. It's fine. Yeah, never ask Norley if you should buy something, because the answer will be yes.
Yeah, obviously.
Or Randy. Randy's the worst. Like, don't ever ask him, like, hey, should I get this? The answer is yes.
Yes.
So that's okay. He just I feel like there's worse things he could be.
Oh, yeah.
He could be buying. So we'll take a hat and boots, and so it's fine. But that's our hat of the week for the podcast. So the other thing that I wanted to do this week, because we don't have the largest amount of content, we do have a good bit of it, but I did want to start with a interesting question. I don't want to call it an icebreaker, but an interesting question. If y'all have answers to this as well, we want to hear it in the comments. Let us know what these answers, what your answer is to this. So what is one cattle related lesson that stuck with you longer than a classroom lesson ever did? So that is our question of the week, is what's one cattle related lesson that stuck longer with you than a classroom lesson? If you're ready, you can go. If not, I kind of thought of the question, so I have an answer.
Like I was kind of talking earlier, you just got to keep going. No matter what life throws at you, you just got to keep going. You can't just stop. I mean, life will throw you curveballs. Like, obviously, like, fence will go down. Anything can happen. Y'all know the cattle industry. Anything will happen at the worst time. So, and you just gotta roll with it. You just gotta go. Mm-hmm. It'll always buff out.
Yeah, it'll happen how it's supposed to happen, even though it doesn't feel like that.
Yep.
sometimes, most of the time. And so there's always something bigger. So that's a pretty good one. So mine kind of goes back to one of the favorite pieces of cattle advice I've ever received, which was back in Alabama when I was a college student, or I had recently just graduated. I was working at the university I graduated from. And so I think I was actually working because I think I took off work to go and work and process bulls for a local farm. And so we were pulling tail hairs, doing scroll circumference measurements, doing blood work, doing all the things. And we get there and start working, and this is a bull development program, and so you have bulls coming from all across the state. And we had a set of bulls that got the trailer pulled up, they got unloaded, and the gentleman that was running the program was like, no, you can send you can just reload that trailer, they can go home, they're not fit for this program, we don't breed crazy. And that was his only thing. We don't breed crazy. That was his reasoning. That was his justification. And it stuck with me so much. I was like, oh wow. And he stuck by it. Like, it wasn't just a statement of like, oh, like, we'll see if they calm down. They're in a different, he's like, no, like, they do not fit this program. No, thank you, but no, thank you. The guy's like, well, I just drove however many hours. He's like, sorry, man, you're going to do it again. And so it's part of it that kind of told me of like, oh, hey, know what you're looking for and then stick with that. Don't deviate from the standards that you have set. And so it was really eye-opening, and so it was really a great time, a very big lesson that obviously, I mean, that was years ago, that still sticks with me. And every time I see that gentleman, I always think about it. I'm like, oh yeah, we don't breed crazy. Like, thank you. And he had no clue. Like, he did not realize that he was imparting like a life lesson on me at that point in time. But that's one of my favorites. So, like I said, let us know in the comments what lesson has stuck with y'all in the cattle industry longer than a school, a classroom lesson. We'd love to hear it. So, with that, we're going to do our membership update. So, what do our membership numbers look like? We're in June.
We are in June.
We're in the last month.
We are in June. Crazy.
Yeah, it is June. So, what do we look like?
So, if y'all don't know, our membership drive ends June 30th. So, the new membership year will begin July 1st. And so our membership numbers are at 74% of last year's number, which we think was pretty good. Historically, that number has been 77%. So we're only 3% down from normal, which we think is pretty good. Really excited about that. But we're waiting for some more memberships to come in, obviously, but keeping our heads held high. So,
yep. Yeah. And so as a reminder, how do they know if they haven't paid? Did they get another notice? Can they call? However, all the pieces.
Yeah.
How do you know if you haven't paid your dues?
Yeah. So obviously you get your magazine. If your magazine stops, you have not paid your membership yet. And then if you have any questions, if you have paid your membership and just wondering if that check has come to us yet, give us a call. We'll check that with our system.
But we did just send out the third and final round of renewal notices. It would have been probably about a couple of weeks ago, probably about 2 weeks ago. So you would have received a letter in the mail.
Yes.
Specifying that you had not paid, if you have not.
Yeah. So we sent out 3 renewal notices, and then this last one was our last one. So. Yep.
And then along with that, a lot of our counties are working overtime right now, trying to make sure that they can reach some of the goals that they've set for themselves. And so they also will have county recruiters that will call you if you have not paid. So if you're on their unpaid list, which we provide, they will, I'm sure, be reaching out to you as well. And so.
Yep. I sent out paid and unpaid list to several counties this week. So I know I've had a lot of them call me and be like, hey, has this person paid? Has this person paid? I'm like, yes, no. Have whatever they.
Yeah, they're trying to have as up-to-date information because they don't want to bother you if you've already paid. But they do want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to pay. And so that's going out. You can pay online via our website. You can pay via check or mailing a check to the office, or you can call the office and give us a credit card number and we can run it on our credit card machine. Whatever is easiest. You can pay at your county level, whatever is easiest for you to pay those dues. But speaking of recruiters and paying at your county level, what we're in June, so we're in a whole new month. What is our final month of incentive prize?
Yeah, so we have our final monthly incentive. It's only one prize this month, and that is sponsored by Ross Rogers Equipment, and they are sponsoring a 25-gallon Wiley Burlap sprayer. So really excited about that, and then that'll be given away at our convention.
Yep. So goes on the back of a ATV, probably, and so it's a pretty unique gift. I know usually Ryan Rogers with Ross Rogers does a really good job of trying to find something that people want, but they don't necessarily are going to always go out and buy for themselves. And so hopefully that'll be something people will be interested in receiving. Mm-hmm. So as a traditional regular reminder, to be able to be eligible for that, you have to recruit members throughout the month of June. And so they have to be from June 1st through postmark June 30th. They need to put your name on the sign-by list on the sign-by line on the website or on the renewal card or on the receipt at the county level. So a couple of different ways they can do that. And so just making sure they have your name listed as a recruiter.
Yep.
So perfect. Also, we're in June, and so that means we know our prizes and our winners from May incentive. So what were those prizes, and then who are the winners?
Yeah, so in May, Allen Gate and Panel sponsored 3 hay rings for each top 3 place, and I ran the numbers yesterday, so congratulations to KKC of Hot Spring County. She won first place. She gets a hay ring. Second place was Ron Carter out of Independence County. He also got a hay ring, and then Ben DeZalvo out of Conway County. So
perfect. Congratulations to those members. We're really excited for that. And again, we're really grateful for our sponsors that work with us. We love the ability to give out a tangible gift, a tangible thank you for our members. Is that why people go out and recruit? No. They recruit usually because they believe in the cattlemen, they believe in the work that we're doing. But it always feels nice, at least for me, to be able to say, hey, like, here's something to show our appreciation. And so we're really grateful for our sponsors that help us make that possible.
Yep.
So very good one. We do have a couple of county prizes as well this year. So we are giving away a pre-fruit squeeze chute at convention for counties that reach a certain percentage of their renewal number, or of their numbers from last year. And so at a county level, while individuals are able to recruit, the counties are also able to work towards reaching that 100% over the top program there. So along with the Top Hand program sponsored by Preferred Livestock Products. And so lots of different opportunities to give thanks to our members that recruit. I say it often is we would not exist without the people in the countryside, without the people throughout the state that are working on behalf of the Cattlemen's Association. So we're really grateful and really honored to be able to honor them. Really great. I don't know. Words are hard today. It's been a long week. We're really, really excited to be able to honor them with those tangible prizes and thank yous. So, we can't talk about Top Hand. Ooh, that was loud. We can't talk about Top Hand. How do people, again, just a reminder, what are the requirements of it, and then how do people know where they stand?
Yeah, so we have a really cool program. If you get Top Hand, you can either get a belt buckle or a barn jacket. It's a really durable jacket. I like it a lot. And then a partial registration to convention. And how you get that is you get 15 new members signed up under you, or 30 renewals under your name. So sign by. If you're working towards one of the prizes and say you've recruited like 13 new members, just 2 more members, you get a belt buckle jacket or your most of the convention paid for. So
yep. Yes, that's a big piece of it. And so really exciting for that. If you're not sure where you stand, if you're saying, hey, I think I've recruited this many, but I don't really know, you can call the office. Norley can look it up and let you know exactly where you stand of how many members you've recruited, so that way you know how many you have left by the end of June.
Yep.
So, and we talked about, you mentioned convention, so let's talk about it because it's June. We are not terribly far away from convention at this point. It is August 7th and 8th. 8th and 9th, 8th and 9th. Technically 7th through the 9th, which is very confusing because very few people get there on the 7th. So I always have to think about it. So it's the 8th and the 9th. So it's Friday and Saturday in Hot Springs, again at the Convention Center. And registration is now open online for vendors and for attendees. So if you're interested in attending, the registration link is on our website if you just want to come be a member at that convention. And then there's also the ability to register as a vendor or a sponsor. So if you want to have a booth at convention, if you have a company that is interested in that, that link exists on our website as well, along with, very importantly, because they fill up, the hotel booking links. And so we have 2 different hotel options. Again, this year we have the Embassy Suites there in Hot Springs, which is the host hotel. And then Hotel Hot Springs has graciously worked with us as well to provide a booking link and a booking rate for our members. So you have 2 choices of where you would like to stay. And so it makes it a little bit easier for people, especially as some of those hotels do tend to book up pretty quickly. So yeah, convention. So what are you most looking forward to at convention?
Seeing everybody.
Yep.
I like all the vendors, talking to them, talking to all of our members, getting to catch up with everybody. We have a lot of things planned. We have some new cattlemen's colleges I'm really excited about, some kind of unique cattlemen's colleges. So, and we also have our schedule online now as well, if you want to look through that. So.
Yep. Yeah, so we're going to have some really good cattlemen's colleges. We are continuing the work that we started last year where we're having cattlemen's colleges that are hopefully going to allow you to leave with one piece of tangible advice that you can use on your operation. If not right then, very quickly after. So we're working on having a weed identification course. We're working on a beef quality or a beef cutout demonstration, looking at carcass data, ultrasounding, and the effects of genetics on that, looking at disaster proofing your operation, whether that be from an insurance standpoint or from a health mitigation standpoint. And then we have Chief Billy Black coming back. He was just on the podcast recently, but he'll be at convention providing information on real life theft tactics and prevention there. And then we're also going to be having for the first time ever, for the first time in a long time at least, the Quiz Bowl finals. And so we'll be having the Beef Quiz Bowl. We'll be hosting that at convention Saturday at lunch. And so we'll have the final 4 teams will come in and compete Saturday, and then we'll have the final competition there at lunch on Saturday on the trade show floor. So we're really excited to be able to see those young people come in and compete and get the recognition that they definitely deserve. So we're hoping to see a lot of young people there and hoping to see that grow throughout the years. Like I said, this is the first time in a long time that we've been able to partner with the Beef Council and with 4-H and FFA on that program. And so we're really looking forward to that. So I think that's part of one of the things I'm most excited about is just the new pieces of it. We're also going to have the ACF, the Arkansas Cattlemen's Foundation, an ACA auction on Friday night. We just booked our entertainment for that. We've got Cliff and Susan Irwin. And so if you are not familiar with Arkansas country music, they actually just won 3 awards at the Arkansas Country Music Awards just this week. And so very big deal, very excited to have them. Thankful for our sponsors for making that happen so we can have a happy hour and have a social hour with them right before dinner and auction on Friday night. So great times. Benefits that money is raised to benefit educational programs within the Cattlemen's Foundation, and so helps pay for scholarships and ACLC sponsorships and things like that. And so very excited for it. If you have items for the auction, if you think, hey, this may be a cool thing to bring or to put in, we would love to have it. We'll have a silent and a live auction. We're very happy to take items from counties, from members, from whoever, and so just let us know. You can either tell us and bring it to the office, or you can just bring it to convention and we'll get it set up there. Our auction chair will help figure out where it ends up on the auction floor, and we'll go. We are going to have the Arkansas State Champion auctioneer come in and help our auctioneer Nick Fowler. So Reed Webb is the Arkansas FFA auctioneering champion, so he's going to come in and be a guest auctioneer with Nick Fowler. So it's, again, just a really exciting time to be able to support and see and recognize the youth in Arkansas doing big, exciting things. So it should be a pretty good convention. Like I said, August 8th and 9th. There is a grant to attend convention. That is a very big deal. We were very excited about it. We had that grant for the first time last year, and I know a ton of producers utilized that grant. And so it is a reimbursement grant, so you can apply on our website. You fill it out, and then you, if you are accepted, they say, hey, here's what you need to do. You need to attend convention. You need to take a picture while you're there and send us a paragraph after you wrap up at convention and let us know what you learned, what you attended, what you enjoyed. And so great opportunities there, and it will reimburse the entirety of your convention registration and your hotel room. And so it makes it essentially free to attend convention. And so, like I said, everyone that applied last year received the grant. So go online, again, on the convention page on our website, and apply for that grant. We would love to see everyone there that's able.
All of those links are under the same page on our events page, and then you scroll down to convention and trade show, and all of those links are there. So
yep. Yes. No, so it's very exciting. What else on convention? I'm trying to think. There will be a cutoff on registration deadlines for convention and for the hotel as well. So I will encourage you, if you have not registered, to just go ahead and knock it out. So that way you can guarantee that you'll get a hotel. I know Embassy Suites sold out last year. And so just keep that in mind as you're looking to go ahead and get started.
Yeah, and we also have our banquet that Saturday night, and those tickets tend to sell out quick. So if you're interested in attending our banquet where we recognize members and different things and counties, and will we? No, the Quiz Bowl will be organized at lunch.
Yep, they'll be at lunch.
But yeah, great to recognize everybody. So.
Yes, those are available. You can either register for convention in its entirety, or you can register for bits and pieces. So if you just want to come to the banquet, you just want to be there on Saturday, you can register that way as well. And so you have your choice. We try to make it pretty easy for people that maybe don't want to or cannot come the whole time. Try to make it where you can piecemeal it together, or you can just register all at once. Yep. So really looking forward to it. Again, as a reminder, that is where the business of the Cattlemen's is done. And so we will be voting on new on our governing documents, so policy, updating our policy book, updating our constitution. All of that information is in the magazine that should be hitting mailboxes today or tomorrow. So it should be hitting your mailbox pretty daggum soon. And so it has the breakdown of everything that's going to be discussed and debated there and voted on there at convention. And so I encourage you to, if you are invested and interested in the Cattlemen's, to plan to be there and plan to attend the membership meeting and come and help lead the future of the industry. So the future of the association. So with that,
Woo convention.
Woo convention. We're very excited. And so really looking forward to it. As we have more information come out about Cattlemen's colleges and speakers and things, we'll be sharing that as well.
Yep.
So
it's a fun time.
It is.
Get to talk to everybody, mingle. Hopefully some new vendors. Actually, there are some new vendors this year. So if you have been before, and there's some new things coming. So.
Yep. All right. Lastly, we have our Hats on the Hill update. So we, as you know, legislative session at the state level complete. But we are still working in D.C. trying to make sure that we have a voice and making sure our voice is heard there in D.C. So we talked about it on the podcast a couple weeks ago. We actually had some of our members and leaders go to D.C. and we talked about the issues that we discussed. So we talked about New World screwworm. We talked about the livestock forage program payments, disaster thresholds. We talked about the death tax. We talked about a lot of different issues that we're facing, black-headed buzzards, a lot of different issues that we're facing cattle producers. And I will say it's not normally this quickly, but we actually have already had some very positive momentum on those issues that we have seen. And so if you do not know, if you do not keep up with the news, if you don't look at what is occurring in D.C., a couple weeks ago, the House passed the reconciliation package, which is their budget. So they passed their portion of the reconciliation package. And as we've talked about on this podcast before, pretty much nothing else can get done until the reconciliation is done, because that is the budget for the government. So they have to set that before they can do a farm bill, before they can do a lot of other items. And so the House passed their portion of the big beautiful bill, as it is called. And so we talked a little bit about it, but I do want to deep dive a little bit more. I know I talked on one of the recent episodes about the death tax the inheritance tax threshold being increased from 13 million to 15 million per individual, 30 million per couple. And so how that's a very big protection, because technically that is set to sunset at the end of this year. If it does not get voted on, it will decrease to $5 million. So it's a very big jump from 13 down to 5. And so this would raise that death tax threshold to the 15 million, continuing to protect producers. So that's in the reconciliation package. It also includes funding for the three-legged stool, and so it is funding for the foot and mouth vaccine bank. It is funding for animal health issues, and so things that is one that's traditionally in the farm bill, and so but they got it in the reconciliation package on the House side, and so providing funding for that three-legged stool to protect the agriculture industry, the livestock industry, against diseases. So really, really grateful for that. And then we very briefly discussed it, but was wanting to do a little bit more of a deeper dive on it, was the LFP program. And so the House reconciliation package actually changed the thresholds for the livestock forage program payment. And so this is something that we have been asking for in Arkansas for a few years now. And so we have realized, based on the data from 2024, we shared it on our social media. It's been in the magazine. You have seen it. We talked about it on the podcast. There were 60 counties in the state of Arkansas that were in a drought, a D2 drought at some level last year in 2024, but only 20 of them received LFP payments. And so there were 40 counties that were in a D2 drought for an extended period, but they didn't reach the 8-week consecutive threshold. And so therefore they were not eligible for payments. And so the House reconciliation package actually decreased that threshold. And so it now, their proposal is that it would be a 4-week minimum. So if you are in a D2 drought for 4 weeks, you are eligible for one payment. If you are in a D2 drought for 7 of an 8-week period, you will receive 2 monthly LFP payments. And so it is not 4 weeks, easy, that makes sense, very, very straightforward. 4 weeks of D2, done. But the 7 of an 8-week is not consecutive. You don't have to have 7 weeks in a row of D2, just to have 7 weeks of an 8-week period being in a D2 drought. Because a lot of times what we've seen in the drought monitor is that it'll rain just enough to mess up the drought monitor and kick you out of D2 for a week, therefore lessening your chances of LFP payments. So this is a big win for cattle producers. We're really grateful for the House side, the Ag Committee, and all of really every single committee touched the reconciliation package. And so really grateful for them for their work on this bill. It is now on the Senate side, and so it is being discussed currently. It will be changing, I am sure. We don't know what will change. We are very fortunate on the Senate side that we have Senator Bozeman as the chair of the Senate Ag Committee, and so he will be addressing a lot of the issues pertaining to agriculture, and so we are very grateful for his leadership and his support. One of the things that I am most excited about, on top of the issues we've already discussed on the House side, obviously we're hoping to keep those, but on the Senate side, we just received confirmation this week that the Senate is actually looking at a indemnity payment, or a payment program for losses due to black-headed buzzards. I'm going to say that again because that is something that we have been asking for 20-something, not really, it's been about 15 to 20 years, though, that Cattlemen's has been fighting against black-headed buzzards. And so the Senate is looking at a payment program, a depredation loss payment, whatever its official title is going to be, but a payment program for producers that lose animals due to black-headed buzzards depredation. And so very excited about that opportunity. Obviously knowing that it's not a guarantee. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but very grateful for Senator Bozeman's willingness to listen and willingness to fight for this program. And so as these continue, we are likely to see some changes from the House side. And so we've already talked about multiple times on this podcast of how the House has one set of one idea of a budget bill, and the Senate has another idea of a budget bill, and they're two very different things. And so what they have to do is figure out how they can agree. And so that is what the Senate is currently debating, is how can we make this agree with what we want, but also still being able to, on our end, protect the livestock producers and protect agriculture. And so we are hopeful that we'll see some of these things come through on the Senate reconciliation package. And so the way that'll work, it'll pass out of this appropriate Senate committee, and then it will have to go to the Senate floor in its entirety. The bill will to be passed on the Senate floor. And then any changes will have to go back to the House committees to be able to be concurred and be approved there. And so it's still a very long process. We're still far from knowing exactly what's going to be in there, but we are very hopeful and very grateful for the work that our congressional delegation has done over the past few months on this reconciliation package and the benefits it is being able to provide to cattle producers. And so really excited for, hopefully, for the future of what this reconciliation package does, and we'll keep y'all updated on that. And then the other piece that I have, the other piece of good news is that you may have seen probably last week, I believe, Secretary Rollins announced that she was releasing $2 billion, with a B, $2 billion in emergency disaster payments for livestock producers due to losses from drought and wildfires. And so it is the Emergency Livestock Relief Program operated through the FSA office, so their Farm for Service Agency offices, and so it is based on the LFP. So it's based on the Livestock Forage Program. So if you received an LFP payment in 2023 or in 2024, you will be automatically receiving funding from the ELRP. And so, if you received money from LFP in 2023 or 2024, you will automatically receive money from this Emergency Livestock Relief Program. You do not have to apply. Some of you have probably already received the money, because they've given out about $32 million in the state of Arkansas already in the past week. And so they're really working fast. They're able to use the LFP data from previous years, obviously from 23 and 24, to provide that to producers. The way they're calculating it is they are taking your gross LFP payment from the calendar year, so from 23, and they are multiplying it by I have to make sure I have this right, by the ELRP payment factor. So essentially they're multiplying that by 35%, because that is what the ELRP payment factor is this time. And so if you had $10,000 that you received in LFP funding, they'll multiply it by 0.35. You will receive $3,500 in ELRP payment for 2023. And then you will also be eligible for 2024. So you can get 1 year or you can get both. And so very exciting news, very grateful for Secretary Rollins for her work on that. We know that the drought in 2024 was pretty rough, and so, but not necessarily all counties that should have received LFP payments received them, and so that's going to be a lot of the hard parts for producers here. But if you received an LFP payment, you will have more money heading your way. There is a note that flooding assistance, so they are working on doing a similar thing based on flooding, and so flooding assistance is projected to come later on this summer. That will not be an automatic payment, though, because that will be a new program, and so they will have to open up an application process, an enrollment process, and timeline with that. But we are hoping to see some of those payments come later in the summer, because that program come later in the summer, because we do know we've had producers drastically affected by flooding this year in the state of Arkansas. And so good news for that. Again, automatic payment should come directly to your the system that you had already used to pay or to receive your LFP payments, whether that was a check or whether that was an ACH. It'll come directly to you. And so great opportunities there. We are working currently with the governor's office here in the state of Arkansas to make these payments exempt from Arkansas state taxes. And so if you remember LFP payments, any disaster payment, LFP payments are exempt from Arkansas state taxes. But since this is technically a new program, it doesn't exist in the statute. So it is not explicitly listed that it is exempt, and so we are working with the governor's office to make these payments exempt from Arkansas state taxes. So we'll keep you updated on that. We're really grateful for the work Governor Sanders and Secretary Hudson with DFNA are going to be working on that with us, and so very grateful for them helping us not tax some of these disaster payments that'll be coming forward. And so if you have questions about that, I encourage you to reach out to your local FSA office. We can put that link in this description here of the podcast, so that way you can know who your FSA office is, where they are, and who to contact there if you have a question about that. But again, really grateful for the leadership of Secretary Rollins of getting that money out very quickly to producers to help. And they did say they've already given out almost $1 billion in 1 week. And so they are hoping they will be able to have additional funding rounds down the road as well. And so really grateful for the work of our state FSA offices and our FSA director on the ELRP program. So I'll have a Facebook post about it soon, highlighting which counties received payment in 2023 and 2024. So that way you can know if your county was eligible. So with that, that's our Hats on the Hill update. Usually I feel like it's not that much good news.
That's good news.
And this is a lot of good news.
lot of good news.
It's a lot of good news. What a great Friday. And so very excited about it. Really, really grateful for the work. Again, I mean, we talk about it. It's almost the end of membership drive. None of this would be possible if it were not for our members. We have the ability to go to D.C. and to ask Senator Bozeman to provide payments for black-headed buzzard losses. We have the ability to go to the governor and ask for this funding, this emergency disaster relief funding, to be exempt from Arkansas state taxes because of our members, because we have the support and we have the numbers and the growth behind and the support of the Arkansas cattle producers in this state. And so we're really excited to be able to celebrate them last month with May is Beef Month. And so very excited to be able to do that in the state of Arkansas, but really just grateful for our members for providing us with these opportunities to continue fighting for you. So it's a great time.
It's a good time to be a cattle producer.
It definitely is. Definitely is. So with that, what else do we have, and how do they need to find us?
As always, find us on, I just went blank, Facebook, Instagram. Follow us there. Then find our podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, everywhere. Just Google us.
Yep.
And then we have our newsletter as well that we send out every Friday at noon. That actually went out 21 minutes ago.
So there you go.
Yep.
So encourage you to follow us, subscribe, like all the things wherever is applicable, to be able to stay up to date with very timely information and hopefully some more good news as we continue updating y'all on what's happening here at the Cattlemen's and across the nation with our Hats on the Hills and everything else. So we really appreciate you tuning in. We hope to see you next time.
Thank y'all. This is the Arkansas Cattle Business Podcast, your trusted source for all things cattle in the natural state.